So let me officially introduce Natalie to you. She is the mom of five, the homeschool mom of five, retired Navy chaplain's wife, retired therapist, a military home educator since 2001. And since Natalie began homeschooling in 2001, she has worked with more homeschool groups than I can shake a stick at. Old Southern say. And she has her own personal consulting business, and she's also the military outreach consultant for Homeschool Legal Defense Association. And this job has taken her to work with a lot of recruits, a lot of their families, and also a lot of people in high places. So it's really a privilege to have Natalie with us today. Natalie, thank you so much for being here and welcome.
Thank you
There
so
we
much,
go.
Nan. I appreciate you. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, we're so excited to have you, and I'm such a fan of yours, Natalie. You have done
Oh,
so many amazing things. Your kids have done
oh, that's
amazing things.
fun.
You are just such a testimony. So I'm going to drop
Ah,
off and let you
okay,
have all of your time and share with these
okay,
moms who can't wait to hear from you.
okay. Yes, thank you so much, Sam. All right, so slides, please. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. I need to set my time because I love to encourage. So I'm going to go ahead and start my time to make sure I stay on track. I don't want Eugenia to get me, right? So I wanted to just let you know a little bit about my family, all right? And you know how as homeschool moms, we're so proud of our families and we are so committed and we give up so very much, but for such a good cause that God has called us to. And I am a huge supporter of military families and particularly what I call mill homeschoolers. That's the military spouse who homeschool. Welcome, everyone, as you're coming on in. So, this is my family here. And my husband, retired Navy chaplain, 2 years now, been retired, and he served 34 years, or I should say, we served 34 years, right? Because families serve as well. And so, starting behind my husband to the left is our oldest son. He graduated from American University School of International Service, and he's now working and has his own business. The next to the right of him is still being homeschooled. He is our 11th grader. He's still figuring out his way forward, working on Scout, Eagle Scout, and DCSA, Distinguished Conservation Service Award, keeping us busy. And the next is our oldest daughter getting married the end of June. She graduated from Liberty and has a master's in international education from George Washington University. And to the right of her in the beige sweater is our youngest daughter, Alexandra. She too graduated from Liberty University. She was a D1 soccer athlete. So I love encouraging and talking about the NCAA process. And she has a master's in social work. And then to the right is our soon to graduate in a few weeks from George Mason University Honors College. Just got accepted to Virginia Tech graduate program for urban planning. So I am telling you about this because, yes, I'm proud, but also just to encourage you that homeschooling works. And I always say, trust the process. So we can go ahead to our next slide. I wanted to actually also mention one of the things that it's really interesting that I'm speaking with you all today because literally last week I just got back Thursday from Fort Liberty, which is now was Fort Bragg, right? And I was invited by the Army to the Special Ops Cape X capability exercise. Had no idea what I was getting into. The Army likes to get me involved so that I can promote the Army opportunity, which I do love to do, and I actually got to go on a Chinook. So that was super cool. So let's go ahead and have a little interaction as you're coming on in. Thank you all so much. I appreciate y'all coming in. A little interaction. We got a little bit of time. So let's see who knows some military acronyms. And I hear you groaning like, oh no, I don't want to talk about acronyms, but these are fairly easy just to get comments going and interaction. And I'm going to keep going, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to name them and you can post what they stand for. So, DOD. That's easy. I started you all out really super easy. DOD. What does that military acronym stand for? AWOL, which we don't want anyone to be, right? What does that stand for? BX or PX, depending, right? MEPS, 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 and PCS. All right, I'll say it again. DOD, AWOL, BXPX, MEPS, PCS. Now, the last one, I'm super, I always laugh about because PCS, what is permanent about? I mean, what is permanent? What is permanent about that? PCS, permanent change of station. It is so funny. The military makes you laugh or cry, right? Permanent change of station. You're not going to be anywhere permanently until you retire. So it's super cool, though, but it's super fun to learn the acronyms, right? So let's go ahead and get into the content. Yes, I see you all got it. Yes, yes. Base exchange, post exchange. Great, great, great. So, slide number 2 is up now. So, we're going to talk a little bit about this whole idea of boot camp. I'm just going to give you a little bit of insight about boot camp, and we're going to backtrack to like back and forth. So, hang with me, all right? And we only got a few minutes, so we got to launch this and come back into the station, right? So, I love the theme, preparing for possibilities. Possibilities are so, I mean, when I think about homeschooling, I think about possibilities, meaning every child God has gifted us with is super unique, right? And sometimes we feel it and it stretches us to our very essence, right? But they are unique. And I believe that God has equipped every mom for what they need, every parent for what they need to prepare and to help that student. There are so many possibilities post secondary. Now, I know that college is the most common, but it's not the only option. And I always say homeschool to college, yes, so that way you don't have to try to catch up towards the end because we know that that is a lot of work, right? But we also know that there's other options, right? Other possibilities. So, how do you prepare for that possibility of military service? Well, we know that homeschoolers succeed no matter what path they choose because God is going to give us what we need to help those students to launch them well, right? So, but what if your homeschooled student chooses to serve? Right? Now, you may be a military family, and I think most of you all are because I see y'all answered the acronyms just right. Most non military, like, I don't know, don't do that. I don't know what those stand for, right? So, but if you're not a military family, you may not really understand the culture and the life, right? So, if you have a homeschool student who desires to serve, it may be like a foreign thing for you. It really may be, but it's such an incredible possibility for our homeschool students. And the military provides so much. It is a sacrifice, and there are challenges, and it is not a perfect system, but it keeps us safe. We get to sleep at night, right? Because somebody, lots of somebodies are on watch for our well being as a country. So I put that out there because I advocate for it because of my experience. As a Navy chaplain spouse, we did 7 years Army, and then my husband got out, accepted his calling to the ministry. I know, don't ask. That's a testimony, you all. And then we came back in because we just wanted to raise our family within the military culture. The opportunities to travel, see the world, exposure, all those things were incredible for us. So, if your homeschool student chooses to serve, and if the student chooses to enlist, they are going to have to go through what's called boot camp. All right. So, when we're talking about boot camp, the physical, the mental, and emotional. There's a lot to that. So, first, what is boot camp? Sometimes it is called basic training. It prepares recruits for all elements of service, physical, mental, and emotional. It gives service members the basic tools necessary to perform the roles that will be assigned to them for the duration of their tour. It basically gives them the skills to do a good job, right? And so each of the services has their own boot camp, their own training program, and it is tailored to whatever the specific, oh, I can speak, the specified nature is of the branch. Okay. So boot camp for Air Force and Space Force is 7.5 weeks. Coast Guard is 8 weeks. Army and Navy is 10 weeks. And you know the Marine Corps is going to have to be the longest, right? So they say, "Hoorah," right? So Marine Corps is 13 weeks of boot camp. So it's a long period, but it is to prepare that student, right? And it is right. It is. I see. Yes. All right, Carrie Ann. Yes. So it is a unique culture. So you have to be prepared. And the boot camp is the opportunity. That's what the purpose of boot camp is, to prepare your homeschool student for that. Okay, next slide, please. So we have now, right, 6 branches. So we have Army, Air Force, Navy, Space Force, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard. So in the comments, who is the baby? Who is the baby? All right. I would love to read a very interesting poem to you that really kind of like knocks it in the park. And it's really a good thing. It says, the military branches explain the Army, Navy, and Marines are all brothers in a family. Army is the oldest, and mom and dad made all their parenting mistakes with him. The Navy is the middle son. They are the explorers who left home and no one cared. The Marines are the youngest, who mom and dad let do whatever they want, and they still have an inferiority complex due to their small size. Well, mom and dad got divorced once all the boys were grown. Mom got remarried to a rich guy and quickly gave birth to a fourth son, the Air Force. Now she loves him the most, showers him with the best toys, and buys him whatever he wants. And when they go on vacation, they fly first class, stay in 5-star hotels, and enjoy the finest meals. The Air Force is spoiled rotten, and his 3 older brothers have bitter resentment toward him for this. Finally, there's the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard is the rich stepdad's son from his first marriage, and none of the other brothers think or act like he's part of the family. Super, super funny, super, super true. And we are all purple. We are all purple, right? I know. You're right. No shame. Exactly. And when I say we are purple, I have love for all the branches. All the branches are needed. And it's an internal joke in the military community, right? About the different branches. So there are 450 to 500 installations in the United States, in 750 installations in 80 countries. Next slide, please. So you want to know what sparks interest in military service. Like when you have a young student, what are some of the possibilities? Well, they may just simply attend an incredible air show. Those are hosted around the country. They are an incredible opportunity for families, military, of course, but non military, the community, right, to come forward and be able to attend an air show. And a lot of times students just look and they get their first interest, right? They get so excited about this and they say, I want to do that, right? Just as like the Thunderbirds of somebody is flying by, and you as a mom are thinking, oh no, not my baby, not up there, right? So, but that can be a spark of interest that started. We know scouts in the different types of programs with that. We know Boy State. Many families find their children involved in Civil Air Patrol, or what is known as CAP. There are so many opportunities to get started with looking ahead and seeing if this is of interest. All right. So, as we go to the next slide, I want to actually let you know some of the things that might influence a homeschooler to enlist. Family tradition. Now, growing up in a family with a strong military tradition may instill a sense of duty and honor in the homeschooler, motivating them to follow in the footsteps of relatives who have served. The the most impactful uh, call to service, the thing that has the most impact on a young person raising their hand and say, I want to serve our country, is someone in their immediate family has served. Maybe even grandparents and uncles or aunts. Somebody very close has served. That's the number one impact. Family tradition, that you come from a family who serves. And if it's not within the military, maybe a family who's serves heavily and is heavily involved in their community, and they want to give back, which leads to a desire to make a difference, right? A desire to serve, patriotism, right? Adventurous spirit. For patriotism and civic responsibility, the homeschooler may have a deep sense of patriotism, right? a desire to contribute to their country in a meaningful way. Enlisting in the military is one way to directly serve the nation and uphold its values. So, with my work that I do with the USAREC, United States Army Recruiting Command, and with the Air Force, uh, military homeschoolers, actually, I should say homeschoolers in general, not just military ones, but homeschoolers in general, pass the ASVAB. We're going to talk about what that is, but they pass the ASVAB traditionally, typically the first time. And so coming out of COVID, they're finding homeschoolers are this incredible, right, community that passes the ASVAB, is physically fit, and has a sense of patriotism and wants to serve our country. We know that because we love our homeschoolers, right? But some others have don't know that. And so they are looking at our community. Now, they have sometimes you have that desire to serve, like I mentioned, and an adventurous spirit. That might be that student who saw the Thunderbirds or something going by, and they're like, "Oh no!" And they want to be up in the air doing the flips and doing the things like that, right? You just don't know. But those are some things that influence a young person that wants to serve. Next slide, please. So I mentioned about enlistment, right? So the ASVAB, Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, all right, or the Career Exploration Program. It is one test. So it is, and if it actually serves two purposes. The ASVAB, of course, if you're going to enlist, the higher you score, the more options you have as in terms of choosing your MOS, which is military occupational specialty. But it also can serve as a career exploration or career inventory. So if you have an opportunity for your students to take the ASVAB, then definitely encourage them to do that, even if they don't have any desire to serve. But if they do have a desire to serve, then you want them to look at a program that's called March, MARCH, like the month, the number two, success. And that is a DoD funded Army program. The Army is really excited and proud of it, but it is open to anybody, military or not, who wants to study to do better on the ASVAB. Okay, so that is a little plug there. Um, Now, there's a question often about, do recruiters, does the military, like, do they look at homeschool transcripts the same? There have been cases, and we know and we hear about that, where a homeschooler has gone to a recruiter, had a conversation, and been told, "Oh, no, we don't accept your transcript," or, "Oh, no, you can't serve." That's not actually accurate and legal. So, I do represent and work for HSLDA, as Zan mentioned, and but because of my own passion to represent and to bring that message about the opportunity for enlistment and military service, I advocate. And so I train ESSs and I train recruiters around the country. And it is going to get better. And so definitely know that that homeschool transcript is more than sufficient, right? So definitely do not be intimidated about that. Now, I put NOI. I know homeschool laws vary across the United States. There are some states you don't have to notify, right? But if you are in a state that has some formal notification, you are likely going to have to show that. And that's just to verify that you actually are homeschooled, right? Or actually are homeschooling rather. So you do need to be prepared to show something like that. If otherwise, you may need to just do a statement. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention, excuse me, is OCS. Now, that looks like Office of Candidate School, and actually it's not. It is our OUR Community Salutes, and it's a program that I work with, I support, actually, is what I should say. And they celebrate that student who wants to enlist. Once that student has signed up, they have celebratory events around the country where they involve the family and they bring you into and let you know what it's going to be like for your young person, and they just are there as a support. our community salutes. Now, the other path is service academies, we know, right? And West Point, Naval Academy, Air Force Academy. There's several of them that are MSAs called military service academies. They are like applying to an Ivy League. There's a particular path that your student has to go on to be competitive. But homeschoolers are accepted, and I don't want anyone intimidated if a student says, I want to go to an academy. You can prepare them, and there's ways and there's plenty of information and resources out there. ROTC has been around a long time as well. It is an option for the students who want to go into a non military college environment, but they do want to serve, and it offers a potential for scholarship, right, to get through college. Military colleges like the Citadel and University of North Georgia give a student like a somewhat kind of like a mix between a ROTC and a service academy, not quite as difficult to get into as a service academy. And then National Guard, they serve us well. Families have students who maybe don't want to leave home. They want to stay, they want to work, they want to go to community college or local university, but they can actually sign up for National Guard. So just know there are so many options, so many paths for military service, right? So, as we wrap up now, I just want you to know to be encouraged, right? I am I got your back. I am here to support you and in any kind of way that I can. Definitely, I believe in you. I love being a military homeschooler. I am passionate about making sure that we get this what we need as a community as well as homeschoolers in general, and that's why I'm advocating with the recruiters. So definitely make sure that if you need to contact me, I am available. I appreciate this opportunity to have presented in front of you all, and just be blessed.
Natalie, thank you so much. You know, there were so many interesting comments. I just want to read a few to you
Sure,
if you didn't
sure.
see them.
I
I
didn't get
love
to see you.
I love what one person said. I was an ROTC instructor recruiter for 4 years. We loved the homeschool kids. They kept their grades up, communicated well with the staff, had basic life skills to get them up. Oops, I just lost it.
Uh,
Um,
oh,
and
I
uh,
saw it.
and on time to classes. That's what prompted us to look into it for our kids.
Oh,
So
awesome. I
isn't
love
isn't that
that.
interesting? And then
Yes.
we had several bases recommended here. There's Court Cavazos, which was formerly
For
Fort
Fort
Hood,
Hood, right.
then Fort Jackson, where I live, and
Yes.
Davis Monthan Air
Yes, in
Force Base.
Arizona.
Okay.
Yes,
So
definitely.
we had lots of moms and dads in here thanking you for all this great information.
You're
Um,
welcome.
I didn't know about the Our Community Salutes program. That's
Yes,
very fascinating. And it sounds like things we could get involved in our community, even without a military background.
exactly, definitely, they would love, and we can talk about that. Yes.
And then there was someone wrote about the ASFAB that they took it as a high school student and it opened up their eyes to careers they didn't know were out there.
Yes.
So some people don't know. If you want to explain that the ASFAB is for everybody, not just people who want to go into the military.
Right. Yes, yes. It is for anyone who actually, and that's why I was saying it's the ASVAB and it's the Career Exploration Program. So it's all one test. And so students who even don't want to serve or don't know they want to serve, it still functions as that career inventory and it's free. So I am hosting one here in the DMV in the next couple of weeks. And so I am working with MEPSCon to maybe try to get those offered to homeschool communities around the United States because sometimes we have to find them or go to a local public school, and that can be a potential challenge for some families, right?
Right, right. Well, we have your website
Yes. Okay.
up here, and people can go there to find you, I'm assuming,
Yes, they can.
and find out more information about you. And
Yes.
now in your consulting, do you ever consult with students who want to go into the military or their parents?
I have honestly, and it's saying you must, God speaks to you because I actually was just having a conversation with God about like, okay, I think students need to hear this too, right?
Yes.
And I encourage the students to own this, particularly this is going to be their journey and they need to know
Mhm.
what they are committing to. And you need to be able to equip them to be prepared for that next phase, that next possibility, as we're talking about. So, yes, I am actually planning to do that. So,
Well,
yes.
you're amazing, Natalie. Thank you
You
so
are
much
too,
for being
Sam.
here and the things you do across the country.
Oh,
If there are military moms out there or military spouses who need support and you feel like you might be drowning with the moves or the pressure of
yes,
deployments, those types of things, reach
yes.
out to Natalie. You have a friend in her and she is here to help you.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I
Mm,
appreciate that, Sam.
uh,
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to your community. I appreciate that.